Impeaching Donald Trump right now is a dangerous idea. It's not just bad, not just stupid, it is literally dangerous. Hold on a second, let's think through this. Pretty much everybody acknowledges that Trump was elected because of a huge amount of anger from millions, tens of millions of people who feel like there are a bunch of disconnected bureaucratic elites in Washington, D.C. They have power while average Joes don't have power. And those in power are doing everything they can to stomp on those outside of power. That's why tens of millions of people elected what is probably the greatest outsider, at least in modern history, to the presidency. Now, I'm no Trump supporter. I'm a libertarian. I don't support Trump. I don't support the Republicans. I don't support the Democrats. I think both of them are foundationally mistaken, but I got a little bit of common sense. If the outsider that was elected by a wave of public anger is in a matter of months removed from his office based on very flimsy accusations from those in power about these Trump-Russia connections, what do you think those tens of millions of people are going to do? They're not going to disappear. They're not going to go, oh, you know what? Yeah, I see the light of day now. I'm worried about those allegations, those anonymous sources that have been talking to WAPO. You know, yeah, that's legitimate to impeach a president for the third time ever in U.S. history. No, those people are going to explode. They've had bottled up anger for a while. They've elected a guy that is letting their anger diffuse while he's in office. And if he gets removed in a matter of months, that anger is going to explode. Furthermore, think this through. If Trump gets removed from office, who takes his place? Yeah, okay, we don't like Trump. He's a buffoon. He's stepping on a bunch of people's toes. He's breaking the rules. I would say he's acting probably in a similar fashion to lots of politicians, that he's applying political pressure against his opponents and applying political pressure to try to give favors to people who support him. Yeah, that's how politics works. Hello. You're just kind of peering behind the curtain, people. Who replaces him? President Pence. Now, Donald Trump, if you actually look at his policies, is kind of a center-left candidate. He supports protectionist economics, which is traditionally center-left. He has socially left beliefs. I mean, for heaven's sake, he supported partial birth abortion, which is a position that's so far left that lots of people in the mainstream left wouldn't even support. He supports what, at least verbally, a more humble foreign policy, although his actions in Syria suggest maybe doesn't have such a humble foreign policy. But the way he talks, he's a critic of the Iraq War, he's critic of nation building. That has traditionally been, at least over the last several decades, a more left-wing position. The only thing which people call him, oh, he's a right-winger, is his position on immigration, which if you actually look at countries who are more left-wing than the United States, like Australia, they have far more strict Trumpian policies than he's even suggesting. So this is in contrast to Mike Pence, who is actually a right-winger with actually right-wing social policies. So you replace the one guy that you don't like with somebody that you probably like a hell of a lot less. But that's not even the danger. Mike Pence isn't the danger. No danger for Mike Pence, relatively speaking. The danger is who gets elected next. If the established powers in the media in Washington, D.C. are going to remove people from power that they don't like because they're outsiders, so they drum up a bunch of accusations, whatever they can do to try to get him ousted from office. All it takes is a rhetorician who is a bit more eloquent than Donald Trump, who says a bit more fiery things than Donald Trump, and you're going to have calls for dictatorship. You're going to have calls for revenge. You think Donald Trump is an outsider? Wait for the guy who's waiting in the wings. If you don't think this is possible, then you wouldn't be consistent in calling Trump a fascist, because if you think Trump's a fascist, who follows him is definitely actually a fascist. But second of all, it also reveals you're not paying attention. Trump is this crazy candidate who's been elected after saying the most ludicrous things, because that is the level of anger in this country. And the reason that the people are so angry is precisely because the abuse of power from the elites. And they're trying to get their guy that they elected out based on an abuse of power. We have reached a point where I genuinely think 350 million people is way too large a number that can be reasonably governed by one system. We need to break the country up. That's my resolution. You have a bunch of people that like Trump. I think they should be governed by people like Trump. You have a bunch of people that hate Trump. I think they should be governed by people who they elect. Let's start talking about splitting up the system in a peaceful way, because this power grab from the two groups, the insiders and the outsiders, we've seen this historically play out many, many times, and it always ends in violence. We don't need to go there, but I'm afraid that's probably the trajectory we're on right now. For anybody that is listening to this right now, and you will consider yourself on the left or on the right, you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, I urge you start taking a look at the arguments that come from the libertarians, because libertarians have been saying for quite a long time, when you centralize power in one institution, let's say the presidency, you're going to get power grabs, you're going to get attempted coups, you're going to get lunatics in office. Practical political solution is, how about let's not have that much power centralized in one place? Because my guy might be in office right now, but what happens when the other guy gets in office? And what happens when the guy after him gets in office? So that's a very smart libertarian conclusion. If you're scared about Trump and you're scared about Pence, the peaceful, smart solution is not to try to kick them out of office because they got elected by tens of millions of people that aren't going away. The smart solution is to say, okay, hang on a second. How can we detooth the tiger? How can we make this government institution way less powerful than it currently is? Because right now the stakes are extremely high and getting higher by the week. This is, I think, a new common ground that people on the left and the right can agree to. You got lots of people on the right who would say, yes, too much power is vested in government. Obama had too much power. You have people on the left saying too much power vested in government. Trump has too much power. Look, there's agreement. There's agreement with libertarians. Let's reduce the power of the federal government before shit gets any crazier.